Michelle, we know that as career coaches, we tell our clients customize your resume for every job. Even if it's the same title of job, customer service, you need to customize. So, in
Yeah.
your experience, how should people customize? And we know with today's AI, a lot of time people are using AI, and I'm hearing that
Yeah.
some recruiters or hiring managers are seeing that, okay, this is becoming very similar resume. So how can they differentiate using AI but for their own benefit?
Yeah, exactly. It's a great question. So what I recommend individuals do is something that I like to call pass the check mark test. And
Mhm.
what that means is your resume needs to speak directly to the job posting. So the check mark part is, thinking about every criteria in the job posting, you need to have evidence and proof in your
Yes.
resume
Mhm.
that you've actually done those very things. The resume should be a clear indication that this is the person for the job because they've done all the things that we're really asking. Now, how you can use AI to pass the checkmark test, it doesn't have to be a manual. Although before AI, I was manually
Yeah.
passing the checkmark test. You would circle things on a job posting and add other things in. How you can use AI is to feed your resume. First of all, you write your resume.
Yeah.
Don't allow AI to write it for you. And you feed in your resume minus anything that identifies anything about you. So that means take away your name, your address, your email, your phone number, any of those things. And then feed in the job posting and then say, like I will use ChatGPT for example, and say, Chat, act as the recruiter for this role. If I'm going to get an interview, what is it that is missing from my resume? What needs to be strengthened or added in order for me to get an interview? And so then what AI will do is it will isolate a whole lot of suggestions without doing the writing. So you don't
Yes.
want it to take all of its, suggestions and have it write it for you, but it will give you suggestions on a number of different platforms. Like one of the areas to customize, of course, are the achievements. You need to make sure that the achievements that you're including in your resume are speaking to the job posting. They're evidence and
Mm.
proof of what it is that you've done, and more than just what you've done, but also how you've done it and the results and outcomes. So that's an area that you can use AI to isolate, and then you can make some changes.
Mm.
Another way, another area of customization is in the skills section. So
Yeah.
if there are skills highlighted in the job posting that are not mentioned in the same language as the job posting in the resume, then AI will flag that. So that's an area of customization. Another area of customization is, an area that is getting a lot of traction right now on resumes that I would say is probably a newer section of resumes
Mm.
is like having a branding statement with some core skills like right up at the top below your name,
Mhm.
where you're actually like including the title of the job that you're applying for to show that alignment that you actually have done that very thing. So
Mhm.
that too would need to be customized like
Mhm.
depending on the job. So those are some key areas that would require some customization. You can see that just sending generic resumes
Doesn't
not
work.
going to cut it anymore. Not good enough.
But in that sense, if they are customizing the resume, does it mean that they also have to customize their LinkedIn account because it has to be the same information? So how can they do that?
Yeah, and that's a great question because LinkedIn doesn't allow you to have multiple profiles, right?
Yes.
You can really only have one. So you have to do kind of like the best that you can
Mhm.
with the headline, first of all. So the headline on LinkedIn is a way to not just capture a job title, although having a job title in your headline will help you get searched
Yeah.
and found by recruiters and hiring managers alike. You want to, back to that value, you want to make sure that in the headline, it's actually more specific to say what it is that you can do. So having like a combination of not just your title, but also, a branding statement, a value statement, as well as some like high impact keywords that really speak to the work that you can do. That's a way to really capture this is me, this is what I can do. Also, in the about section, you can make it a larger capture of here are all my different skills. And more than that,
Mhm.
actually, it's the evidence and proof. It's talking about what is the work that really gives you energy, talk about your career story. I like to think of in the about section, it's kind of like, let's say we were having coffee. One of these days, I'll make it out to Newfoundland. We'll have
Yeah.
coffee together or tea
Yes.
together. And let's say you ask me, like, tell me about yourself and the work that you love doing. You want to bring all of that
Mm.
richness into your about section. So, although you can't customize your LinkedIn
Yeah.
profile, you can make sure that it's as full and complete so
Yes.
that it does include the right skills. You want to do a skills audit and update that section as well, actually, on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. But make sure that you do have achievements that are going to speak to the different roles that you're
Yeah.
applying for.
Yeah.
Again, you're not making things up.
Yeah.
You're simply sharing the facts of your career and the impact of your career as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Michelle, for those great tips. Again, for the audience watching or listening, if you have any other tips, you can leave them below. And tune in next time for another great question with Michelle.